The Decorah boys cross country team back at the state meet once again. 40th time the program has qualified for the state meet, and here to preview the state meet is head coach Brad Johansen. And I know you've been a part of quite a few of them, but 40 times, Brad, that's quite the total.
I know I was actually just putting together some end of the year stuff, and when you type that number, it's kind of a humbling number, not gonna lie. You just like there's a long history and a lot of people who've put a lot of effort into this to continue this. I mean, it had to begin. I think there's only been 50 qualifying opportunities where we had a state qualifying event. And I know there was at least 4 years where we were in the big class. So you really want to get dialed in there. It's a pretty impressive streak, and it's fun to acknowledge it, and it's also uh, something we look forward to meeting that standard every year.
This year's group, what's made it a successful group?
Well, we graduated five of the seven last year off the varsity, and a great leadership group a year ago. So you never know what you're going to get. And this year's seniors have been outstanding leaders. I had actually had the guidance department print off the ACTs and GPA of the entire roster, and oh my gosh, I mean, I challenge anybody to see how many got guys with 34 ACTs, 33 ACTs, 32 ACTs, GPAs of 4. They're all over the place, and they're very articulate, and they are thoughtful. And they work really hard, and they're just great guys to be around. So they kind of set the tone, and the younger guys just kind of follow their lead, and they did a good job leading, and everybody followed, and we're where we're at because of them.
And when you had newcomers, how do they assimilate into that leadership position? How does that process work? Does it happen organically? Is it a tone that's been set in previous years that they feel the need to follow? How does that work?
Well, everybody gets to watch it. You're a ninth grader, and you're just there thinking, "Oh, I got to wait my turn to lead." But you get to see all these things happen. And we do this really unique. Maybe it's just unique to us. Once a week, a senior talks to the team, and usually they play some song that means something to them, and they articulate it to the team about what that song meant to them and how they can apply it to cross country. Well, this year's group, oh my gosh, I should have literally videotaped all of them and posted them because they'd get a million views. These guys were so intellectual and so on point with their lessons to the younger guys. And the younger guys, I'm watching them. I just sit back and watch, take some notes, and I just watch the younger guys just learning from the older guys. Well, that's what you want. You want the older guys to teach the younger guys. And my job is just to clean up the little problems that they do arise. And uh, they don't arise very often. So it's it's just wonderful to watch this progression of maturing and leadership develop. And you can't lead unless you give them the opportunity to lead. So I try to make sure I give them all the opportunity to speak they can. And if I need to help correct things in the backside, I do. But for the most part, I don't have to do much correcting. We got some pretty thoughtful leaders.
And with the situation you were in, Decorah being an independent this year, that did change up your schedule a little bit this year. How did the team adjust to that?
Well, I was very upfront, that we reached out to everybody within 3 hours in any cardinal direction you could go to try to get into a cross conference meet, and nobody let us in. So, um, and then we came up with this Decor Classic idea where we literally took all the boys and all the girls, put them on a list of 1 to 90, and made 5 teams, had the exact same average time, and we had a meet at Luther, and every runner counted towards the score. It was something else. Let me tell you, the amount of energy that day was off the charts, and that's still no supplement for a conference meet, but that allowed us to have some closure to the year with everybody involved. We're just hoping the adults in charge in Iowa have a little sense of urgency to get this thing to the finish line and do what's best for kids.
And did that allow you to just sell the whole team concept of cross country and knowing the fact that kid 1 to kid 90, they all have a role, they all have a level of importance throughout both of your programs?
Oh, yes, it did. It was Our kids are so darn smart. So they know the teams, they know where the runners fit. And we had actually 88 of the 89 ran. Well, right away, the math brains are like, wait a minute, what are you doing with that runner that didn't run? Because that messed with the average of that team. So we put them in there where they were going to be and all these things. And it really did because in the beginning, they thought, oh, it's only the top five that matters. We're like, no, not at all. All 89 score that ran. Everybody scores. So everybody counts. You were watching people run back on the course that were done first, trying to find that last teammate of theirs, trying to encourage them to pass somebody. and the winning team won by point 0.3 points. So
Wow.
we're talking statistics. This thing was so darn tight. And when I announced it in the cafeteria at a team supper that night, the place went bonkers. I mean, bonkers. So it was cool. We still want to run on the conference meet where there's other people and have that energy and that nerves that go with that. But hopefully that's a 1 year thing and it lives as a Decorah Classic forever.
You look at getting ready for this week in the state meet. You mentioned the number of newcomers you got on this year's squad. A couple of kids that ran last year are back on this year's squad. Do you rely on those kids to kind of set a tone to get the rest of the team ready for Fort Dodge, or how do you get ready for this weekend?
Well, I'm one just like spring and the spring and track and the fall here. I just try to make sure that I have covered basically everything that could happen. And so only thing they have to do is just go race because they know how to race. And you acknowledge the fact there's nerves, you acknowledge the fact that there's energy. You just want to use it and use it the right way. And we just try to make sure that they're very comfortable. I think today's practice plan says on the top of it, what questions do you have? And there's no bad questions. So, because a lot of young guys, I want everything they possibly have for a question to come out because they only know what they know. And a lot of them were there as alternates last year, but some of them weren't. So you want them to feel very at ease. The only thing they have to do is lace them up tight and get after it. And I think we'll be ready to do that.
And bottom line, you can call it a lesson plan because it's education-based athletics, right?
It is. Literally, it's, you put time in to put a plan together every day. It's just like a lesson plan in the classroom.
And when you again get ready for this weekend, can you treat state like any other meet?
I almost swore there, but no, you can't. This sucker matters, man. This is big
Okay.
meat. That's probably why I've been there 40 times out of the 50 tries. You don't take that other one as just a regular meat either. That's a big meat. So you prepare, you talk like it's a big meat. You make sure they understand the gravity of the situation. And here, I mean, I think I used a Kirk Ferentz line the other day with him that you got to know who you are. You can't be somebody you're not. And so we know who we are. We know what we're good at, and we know what we're going to try to do in the positions we want to be in to do well. And we're just going to use the energy of that environment to help us hopefully reach our full potential.
And what's it going to take to have as good of a day as you possibly can at Fort Dodge?
Well, we run as a tight group. And so for us, and I'm not asking anybody to run something they haven't run, but we need two guys under 16:45. The next two guys between about 16:50 and 16:55. And our number 5 has to be 17 flat. And that, if we do that, that's a good run at Fort Dodge. I know how the numbers work out of that course, and that'd be a really high finish for us, and we'd be very pleased.
And how do you go about analyzing what a team needs to do to reach its potential? I know you're an analytical guy. I know you're a numbers guy. You're a data guy. But how do you go about putting that together to determine what a team's potential would be at the state meet?
Well, for us, I actually have, speaking of data, I got data going back to forever. So you have all these teams and runners. And then for a while there, I graphed every state meet. I plotted all the points of all the runners, their times and positions. So I have this curve, and this curve looks the same every year. It shifts a little bit left or right, but it's the same curve. And so the guys have really bought into that curve. They understand it now, like where you got to be, where your position has to be at certain markers on the course. And it's whether they physically can pull it off. They mentally know where they got to be, so that physically you can do it. So sure, we're talking the talk. We want to be at this spot, but at this time, but if we can physically do it and we do it, we'll be very happy with our performance.
All right, Coach, congrats on getting back to Fort Dodge. Always good catching up with you this time of year. Here's to the best day possible this weekend. Best of luck to the Vikings as they're at state for the 40th time.
We are very excited. Thank you, Darren.
Brad Johansen, head coach of the Decorah boys. They're going to be back at state racing in the 3A boys race this weekend.